Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Lacey Phillips, single mom to 3 kids. I was born in the low 90s, like, 1990 something, but the low 90s. Figured I wasn't supposed to give an exact date on here. I don't know how it works. Anyway, this is about the things I got to do as a kid in the 90s and low 20s, and then what my kids are allowed to do. And I've realized that I'm probably a pretty paranoid mom. I'm worried about letting them do certain things, but yet, as a kid, I got to do a lot of shit. For example, I don't like my kids playing where I can't see them, which, they're 6 and 7, which I figure a lot of, parents are like that. But then I remember as a kid, we lived in this trailer surrounded by woods, and we'd be sent off to play, go run into the woods and play, so we'd go into the woods, and I swear there were these like vines hanging from the trees, and we'd swing on the vines, we'd play, and I couldn't have been no more than 10 tops at that age. Yeah, 10 tops. So, I mean, we did all kinds of crap. I can't imagine now living in the middle of the woods and telling my 2 kids, okay, bye, go play for hours on your own. Let's hope you don't get bit, fall, break a leg, and I don't hear shit. That'd be my reaction, but yet I did that all the time. So, it's definitely interesting, I guess, to say the least, on how the differences with that were. Now, another example. Let's see. Another example was that when we were told to go pick a switch. Yeah, I got a lot of go pick the switch, and I thought, okay, I'm going to pick the smallest switch, the thinnest switch, that'll be better because it's smaller, it won't hurt as much. Obviously, that's a lie. It hurt a lot. Now, I would never... What? Okay, the baby's putting something in her mouth, so go get that, and I'll take care of that other thing in a minute. Sorry. Oh yeah, the switch thing. Okay. So I would do that, and it would suck. And then, or I'd get like the metal, or the leather belt with the metal loopholes, or the big wooden paddle with nice words carved into it. All that classic stuff is a lot of what happened. And then now, I don't do that to my kids. Like, I can understand the need for parts of it when I was younger, but it's just not or I got the bar soap in the mouth, yeah. Now, a lot of that stuff is not things that I would do nowadays to my kids. I do sometimes give a few swats on the ass every great once in a while if it is needed. But I tend to stick more towards corner time, sentences, stuff like that. Although sometimes I wish I was the type of mom to do the other ones, but I don't. Alright, other things, like the way I grew up was extremely poor. And I was in and out of foster care, but I'm talking about the times I was with my mom, like when we had weekends, or we got given back a couple of times for, 2-3 weeks at a time, however long that lasted. But point being, guys, shh, I'm on the thing. Point being, I think that's part of my issues now. Not hoarding, but I'm paranoid mom. I like to be prepared. So instead of trying to stockpile on like shampoos and conditioners, like I mentioned in a previous video, I like to home make all my stuff, but I stockpile on like shitloads of vinegars and baking sodas and seasonings and oils and all that type of stuff, because I was so used to not having hardly anything as a kid that I never want my kids to run out. to the point where I'm excessive. So, like, I remember we wouldn't really have anything, you know, to eat. So I remember eating like mayonnaise sandwiches. As a kid, I thought were the best thing ever. I didn't realize, until I was older, the reasons that we had to do stuff like that. Or lots of ramen noodles, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, a lot of the time when you're constantly eating ramen noodles every day for most meals, you tend to realize when you get older that it was probably because there was nothing else. Which I mean is guys, stop. Which as long as there's food, that's what matters, right? Nowadays, I don't tend to get a whole lot of ramen noodles, but I buy cheap and I home make my stuff. Like I don't buy bread. I make my own bread. Um I buy noodles and I store noodles in containers, but I do have recipes to make my own noodles and I do that often enough. Um Make my own lemonade, um biscuits, things like that. Like I can make my own sauces, all that kind of stuff. So I tend to, even if I don't always make all of that stuff from scratch, I always have the ingredients and I always have the recipes for that. Yes, I know I look tired. Like I said, only got a few hours of sleep last night and I don't feel the hottest. Anyway, so, yeah, I guess that's the end of that video. I just wanted to talk a bit about some differences I noticed from back then versus now and how it's affected me.